let's switch things up. Let's talk about hip hop. Andre 3000 hits back at rappers who criticized his age comments.
3000 has responded to rappers who criticized his comments about aging in rap. Hey, it's Asia Sky for Hip Hop DX, and check this out. Andre 3000 has hit back at his rap peers who have criticized his comments about rapping over the age 40. In a cover story for Crack Magazine, the Outkast legend said, "I've heard some rappers reply to what I've had to say about age, and I have to ask, what are you rapping about? Some are the best braggadocious rappers in the world, and we love them for that, but it's so much easier to do that for the rest of your life. I don't necessarily rap like that. Our formulas are different."
He's not wrong. He's not wrong. It is much easier to kind of just rap in these kind of like, not nonsensical, but like less meaningful way where you can discuss kind of like lighthearted topics, talk about personal stuff, talk about material things. Like obviously that form of rapping is much easier to do than kind of like this high concept, emotionally intelligent way that Andre 3000 does about a lot of things. So he's not wrong in that aspect.
Andre 3000 continued to defend his stance while responding to an unnamed critic by saying he doesn't know what it takes.
He's responding to LL Cool J. If you don't know, LL Cool J kind of went on there in an interview and kind of like discussed not understanding what Andre 3000 is talking about because it's rap. You should be able to rap no matter what kind of stage or age you're in. And obviously LL is kind of the perfect embodiment of that. He had covered almost 3 decades of music and like continue to excel and be like at this high level. So like, it's not surprising that LL felt that way, but it's also not surprising that Andre feels the way that he does.
Takes for me to do what I do. I don't know what it takes for him to say the same thing over and over again and still keep it creative.
Low key, a little bit of a shot, because for him to say the same thing over and over again and still keep it creative is a little bit of a shot, saying that LL does not necessarily have a deeper bag or deeper catalog of things to talk about and discuss outside of like obviously his love songs and like his material things and like gloating and like showing that he's the best. Like LL is not necessarily that rapper who only talks about material things. He does have songs that are much deeper and more emotionally intelligent. It's just not obviously the hits. And for him to kind of say that is a little bit of a shock.
But I love him for doing it. Now, Andre 3000 had previously implied that rap is a young man's game, telling GQ,
"I'm 48 years old, and not to say that age is a thing that dictates what you rap about, but in a way it does. And like the things that happen in my life, like what do you talk, like I gotta go get a colonoscopy, like what do you like what do you rap about? You know what I mean? Like my eyesight is going bad. Like,
now at the time his comments were met with both
again, like he's not necessarily wrong that rap has historically been a young man's game. It has been a young man's game, but also because rap is young in general. It is just young. They have not really had generations of older, impactful artists or rappers who haven't reached the age to be considered like that kind of elder statesman outside of like obviously the OGs. But I would say like Jay-Z, Nas, and them are like one of the first true older second wave generations that can still resonate with a wider audience and crowd. And for him to say it is a young man's game is kind of a bit of a cop-out, because you cannot sit there and tell me that Jay-Z verses don't matter anymore, Nas verses don't matter anymore, Nas's albums don't matter anymore, because look at the impact he is still having at 50 years old. And he is not just saying materialistic things. His songs still have very relevant things to say and discuss, because at the end of the day, rap is still an art form. Lyricism is an art form. And there's so many things going on in this world. If you can't find any inspiration to discuss or talk about in this kind of like older, more mature way, that's on you, not necessarily on the art form, because Jay-Z found a way in 444, and Jay-Z was the ultimate almost materialistic, braggadocious rapper that he was discussing, and yet he was still able to find another gear and go in ways that you not necessarily have seen him go in or thought that he was capable of in a very impactful way. And like, so for him to say that you can only rap about colonoscopy or like bad eyesight or old man shit is like ridiculous on its face value, and also kind of a cop out.
Disappointment and disagreement from fans and fellow rappers alike, with Lil Wayne even calling 3 Stacks' comments depressing on his Apple Music show Young Money Radio last year.
I read a depressing quote or two from someone that I respect a lot in music, in hip hop period, and music period, and they would ask, like, why you ain't been doing, music or whatever, and they was like, man, like, what I'm gonna talk about? It was like, like, when I'm gonna talk about, I'm in my 40s, like, what am I gonna talk about? Like, you want to know about me being what I do, and you want to know about what I'm doing, about the life I'm living at this age, and
like, also, like, about the old man shit is like, you're telling me in your older stages you don't go through shit, like your life is that peaceful and like measured and whatnot, that you don't have experiences that can be discussed or talked about or that are relatable to other people, like real life experiences, like relationships, like business, like anything. Like, it's kind of crazy because like the older you get, the more experiences you should have. Like, you should still be having experiences to kind of talk about, discuss, and rap about.
The things I'm doing, like, what am I supposed to talk about? I was like, wow, that was so different. Like, I have everything to talk about.
So what are your thoughts on Andre 3000's response to people criticizing what he said about aging and...
So, I mean, those were my thoughts. Like, I think he has kind of a point. Like, his way of rapping and his approach to rap is obviously a lot more conceptual and emotionally intelligent and introspective and deep for him. Like, the connection to music for him seems to be on a much more spiritual, personal level than your average rapper. So like, it would probably take him a lot to get to that point where he feels like he can deliver something meaningful for the people. But also, it's kind of a cop-out, because if you are supposed to be one of them ones, one of the GOAT lyricists, one of those guys that people put on a pedestal in terms of lyricism and rapping ability, you should be able to have things to talk about or ways to discuss things in new ways. If you are truly one of the greatest lyricists of all time, it can't just be only in this specific manner or way. Like, you should be able to discuss and rap and deliver bars and deliver material in different ways to truly, to me, be considered a GOAT lyricist. So he has some valid points. It also sounds like a bit of a cop-out, and that has always kind of been my problem with him in terms of being like on the GOAT list of lyricists and rappers, because he only pops out when he feels like. And if you're truly that guy on the mic, truly that guy as a lyricist, you got to be more active. You got to be able to say things no matter the context, and you got to like have an ability to find ways to discuss or rap or make music about things that are going on. Like, with all the shit that's going on in the world, there's nothing to discuss. It's kind of crazy to me. Nas still somehow finds a way to be relevant and discuss very relevant modern topics to people in his age group and younger. And like, the fact that you can't kind of knocks you a little bit on my list. I'm not gonna lie, my boy.